You know that this episode was out of the ordinary when there was not one titty in it. Hello, my name is Sarah, and I will be reviewing episode 5 of season 2 of Euphoria. Great. This episode is titled Stand Still Like a Hummingbird, which, in my opinion, is a ridiculous title because hummingbirds do not stand still, they fly still. Now that we've gone past that dad joke in the script, let's actually get into it a little bit. You know, I'm getting a little tired of that disclaimer at the beginning of every episode. If every single episode is gonna have graphic content, then you might as well just rocket blast that rating all the way up as high as it can be. This episode was a little different from what they standardly do, although watching this season, there isn't much of a standard to how they approach the structure. Episode 5 opens with Rue's mother, who's named Leslie, confronting Rue about being on drugs. Rue says it's just weed and begins to attack her sister for, I guess, tattling on her. And then Leslie says, I know that it's pills because Jules told me everything. Shit. Rue rummages through her closet for the suitcase full of drugs. The aforementioned case of drugs worth $10,000. Yeah, that case is gone. Her mother did something to it. Rue absolutely tears into her mother, and when she's getting kind of violent with Gia, her mother slaps her across the face and locks herself and Gia inside of Gia's bedroom, and Rue is on the other side of the door. Doesn't really matter because Rue kicks that door in. It's honestly really terrifying. It's like The Shining, except instead of an axe, it's just Zendaya. And she just keeps on crying over and over, where are the pills, where are the pills? Because obviously she knows that she's in deep shit for a different reason than what her mother thinks. It goes without saying that Zendaya is an incredible actress, but I'm gonna say it anyway. Zendaya is an excellent actress, and really that's starting to be just the main draw of the show. Rue is still yelling, where are the pills, where are the pills? And then suddenly we hear Jules say, we flushed him down the toilet. Nobody even knew she was here, and she just heard everything she laid into her mother and her sister. Ooh, don't know how she's gonna come back from that. We walk into the kitchen and we see that Elliot's here too, so he also heard. Rue comes in and smacks him across the face. It's honestly kind of funny. It shouldn't be funny, but it made me laugh kind of because it was just so uncalled for. She just walks over to him and kind of pops him on the head. Rue goes up to Jules and she says, we're done and you're dead to me. She says, I have a lot of regrets in my life. Meeting you is the biggest one. Whew. So Rue is obviously mad at Jules for telling her mother about the drugs, but what she still doesn't know is that Jules has been cheating on her with Elliot. Rue says some pretty awful things to Jules in this scene, and you can't help but wonder if she found out about Jules and Elliot, if she would react even half as violently as she is now. And it's just a really wonderful way to portray a drug addict's priorities, which I don't know if they're gonna go down that route. They probably will, because Rue has to find out at some point. But yeah, her priorities are obviously always going to be drugs and then Jules. But we've known that because she's been lying to Jules this whole time. Elliot then says, I shouldn't have told anyone I liked Rue the way she was, which is a really weird thing to say because it's obviously not the real Rue. Elliot really just knows the completely strung out high Rue. Rue collapses in the hallway just crying, probably because she thinks her life is over. And it might just be. Her mother asks her if she can take her to the hospital and Rue slowly nods her head. But looks like Leslie's a liar too because they're not going to the ER, they are going to rehab. Rue is not too pleased to hear this, so she gets out of the car and runs straight into traffic. This is when the title card finally pops up and the opening sequence was about 18 minutes, which is a quarter of the episode. I mean, the whole first act was just the opening. Rue first tries Fez's place, and then when nobody's home, she ends up going to Lexi's place, which again, another small way to show what her priorities are. Drug dealer, although Fez is arguably more than a drug dealer to her, and then friend. Every single female character is at Lexi's house. I guess they're just hanging. Lexi and Cassie's mom immediately just says to Rue, you look terrible. Oh, Lexi's mom. You really have no idea. Rue goes to the bathroom, and when she comes down the stairs, Rue's mother is standing at the bottom of the stairs with all of her friends. Cassie, in the most innocent way, tries to offer, I don't even know, advice, something nice to say, but it just comes off as like a line that's clearly from an NA poster. And this is to convince Rue to go back to rehab because Rue says, I don't want to do it forever, I can't be sober forever. And then Cassie says, You don't have to do it forever. You just have to do it one day at a time. I immediately, when she said this, I started crying for Cassie because I knew exactly what was coming. Rue, who does really look like shit by this point, says, "Hey Cassie, how long have you been fucking Nate Jacobs?" Maddie is shook. Kat is shook. And poor Cassie tries to deny everything, even though she is visibly and has been visibly falling apart at the seams. Okay, I'm about to say something that's gonna be controversial, and I know that it's gonna be controversial. I don't think what Cassie did was that bad. Like, don't get me wrong, it's not cool to sleep with your best friend's ex. It's probably not something that anybody should do, and it is something that ruins friendships. But when Cassie slept with Nate, they were broken up for 3 weeks and 3 days. And also, every character on this show is just really shitty, and I just don't think that what Cassie did is even comparable to the shit Maddie did in the first season. And like, poor Cassie, honestly, she just got brutally attacked and thrown to the wolves by Rue in this scene. She's literally trying to be positive. And oh my god, Rue did not hold back. Anyways, Rue's mom says, "I don't give a shit who's fucking who." And then Maddie lunges at Cassie, chasing her up the stairs. And everybody's trying to stop Maddie, and in all of this hubbub, Rue conveniently slips out the front door. Rue is running around the town, clutching her abdomen. I'm not quite sure if there's a hole in her stomach from all the drugs she's been doing, or if she's just going through withdrawal. And this is just like a strange symptom of that. Although I've never heard of abdominal pain as withdrawal symptoms, but maybe. Rue returns to Fez's house. Fez can't offer her drugs because he doesn't keep drugs at the house anymore, but he does have Pepto-Bismol. I do love that. Rue sneaks out of the bathroom and then looks into Fez's bedroom. She's obviously looking for bottles or prescription pills, and then she goes into, I think, what is Faye's bedroom, and she finds something, but she can't take the cap off, which is honestly like a kind of funny thing that I don't think they meant to do, but it's just a funny way to remind you that she's a child because she can't get through the child lock on the pill bottle. Anyways, before she can get it open, Fez finds her and tells her to stop. When Rue begs him to let her have just one, he picks her up and carries her out of the house. The title of this episode should really be called Rue Burns Every Fucking Bridge That She Has. Rue then finds some suburban house and sneaks into it when the owners leave. There's a dog inside, although it turns out not to be a big deal because the dog's friendly, which makes me wonder, why is there even a dog in this scene? It just seems like an unnecessary plot point with zero payoff. Rue steals a lot of jewelry from the house, and she manages to break into the safe because the code is 1111, because they gotta give Rue something, I guess. And there's I think there's like $2,000 inside of the safe. The people come back early because this is a drama, and Rue hides underneath the bed. They find her, they literally make eye contact with her, and then she runs off anyway, which again, twice now, there have been 2 potential problems pop up in this house that she just somehow gets away with. As she's walking around the neighborhood, a cop car pulls up and they ask her what she's up to. Her response is vomiting, and then she runs away. Rue truly wreaks havoc on this suburbia. Who knew that little old Zendaya could cause so much disruption? And it's this full-on chase on foot. The officers aren't even driving cars, which is when my reality meter really kind of goes all the way down. Like, I'm sorry, but how are these cops not able to catch her? She is a 90-pound drug addict who's currently going through some pretty terrible withdrawal. And then she gets away. They let her get away. This whole episode is just Rue running, and we know that she's gonna have to stop running at some point, or that she's gonna pass out because the show must go on. But do we need a whole episode devoted to it? Rue shows up at Lori's house, and she stumbles in, gives her about $3,000 in both cash and with the jewelry. The actress who plays Lori, by the way, is so funny. There's just something so calming about her presence, and also kind of ditzy. Like, just the manner in which she talks, it's just so kind of light and airy, and like, I don't really know what I'm talking about, but I do know what I'm talking about. But she's great. I love the actress. I think she's doing a fantastic job. Lori tells Rue that she doesn't really get angry, and again, you can believe it. She reveals to Rue that she has her own history with addiction, and that she made a decision that she would never do it again because she hated going through withdrawal. Lori asks Rue when she'll have the money, and then I don't even know what Rue says, but Lori basically is very aware that she's not gonna have the money soon. When Lori is talking about how addiction kills the part of your brain that makes you happy without drugs, Rue of course zones out. And then Lori says one of the most chilling lines of this entire season. She says, "The good thing about being a woman is even if you don't have money, you have something that people want." Ooh. This makes Rue have to go vomit in the tub, and then Lori helps her into it. She doesn't have anything that could satiate Rue's withdrawal at the moment. She only has morphine to inject intravenously, something that Rue has never done before. They then do this really gruesome close-up of Lori sticking the needle into Rue's arm. As Rue drifts into the bliss created by the morphine, we're transported to a flashback of Rue reading a eulogy at her father's wake. So just in case you missed it, the drugs are obviously what's keeping her close to her father. That's the main reason she does them. That's the only reason. Rue wakes up at Lori's house. She finds the bruises on her arm from injecting the morphine, and she does kind of wince at it, which might be a good sign. Maybe next episode she'll realize just how far she's gone, or it can be an even worse turning point towards rock bottom, as if Rue is not already there. Yeah, well, that's not true. She's not there. She still has a lot of people caring about her. Jules still loves her even after all the shitty things that she said to her. Anyways, the front door is locked in Lori's house from the inside, which is bizarre. And Rue jumps out of a window and then runs off, still clutching her tummy. Rue returns home, and then the episode ends. So you might be asking, what did this episode add to the story? We're pretty much back to where we started at the beginning of it, because I don't see her mother giving up on her. They might go down that route, in which case, yeah, a lot has changed. She's burned every single bridge. I'm getting a feeling that that's not what's gonna happen. Also, this episode only had one story throughout the entire thing, and that was Rue's storyline. And you have to be careful when you're only gonna write one storyline in one episode of TV, because if you get it wrong, the pacing ends up pretty terrible and the scenes won't flow together very well, especially when you're going over large blocks of time. Luckily, this was pretty much in real time, not considering the end when it was a new day. But still, I did notice that there were some errors with the pacing. Oh, and Rue, Cassie, and Maddie. They just kind of dropped that big reveal, and then we don't know what happened. We don't know if Maddie got to Cassie. We don't know what's happening. That's the only thing that really happened in this episode. The only new thing to the story. But we didn't get to see it play out because this episode was only following Zendaya. And it's not to say that you can't do an entire episode that only follows one storyline. Many of the greatest shows of all time have done it before. One of my absolute favorite singular episodes of any TV show ever is an episode of Barry called Barry/Lily. I mean, my jaw was on the floor the whole time. Honestly, you should just watch Barry. It's such a good show, and I think it's actually coming back with a third season, so get to look forward to that. But basically, Barry starts off the episode with a goal, and throughout the entire episode he tries to meet that goal, and he basically goes through some pretty shitty stuff along the way. And it's very, very unusual, definitely more experimental than anything that you've ever seen on regularly broadcasted television, but it worked really well. My jaw was on the ground the whole time. That episode was a lot better than this one. They have similarities, but again, it was just Rue running. The biggest plot points that changed the story in any way were Rue losing the case and admitting this to Lori, and then Maddie and Cassie finding out Cassie's secret. That's it. Like, this show is going so slowly, and we still have so much that Sam Levinson just hasn't brought up at all. I don't know why nobody's talking about how Cassie had an abortion or how it's even affecting her. I mean, maybe that's has something to do with why she's been so hurt this season. Whatever was going on between Jules and Nate, that's been dropped. Whatever was going on with McKay's just completely out of the show now. Kat being a cam girl? Where did that go? Like, maybe I just need to rewatch the first season, because I feel like a lot happened that I'm just forgetting about, because Sam Levinson also forgot about it. The sex tape, the child pornography that Cal had and now Maddie has, that might actually come out next episode, just because Maddie's gonna lay into Nate. And still, no Fez and Lexi content. That's really what I'm most pissed about, to be honest. But yeah, sorry this video came out a little late. I've been very busy. Honestly, I haven't been motivated because this show is just kind of, my opinion of it is slowly decreasing. But thanks for watching, if you're watching. And go watch another show on HBO Max called The Sex Lives of College Girls. It's written by Mindy Kaling, and it's a really, really great show. It's quirky, and it has about the worst title ever. It's not very search friendly, but yeah, it's a good show. And it's also on HBO, and it has some pretty people in it too. Bye bye!